The rain came down hard that Friday evening. Dark clouds covered the sky and thunder rolled across the small highway town. Ji-won stood inside her garage looking out at the storm. She wiped her hands on an old cloth and sighed. It was time to close up for the day. Ji-won was 24 years old. She had been running this small roadside garage for 2 years now. It was not easy work. Her hands were always covered in grease. Her back hurt from bending over engines all day, but this garage meant everything to her. It was the last thing her father had left behind. She walked around the workshop, putting tools back in their places. The garage was not fancy. The paint on the walls was old and peeling. Some of the equipment needed repairs. Business had been slow for months. The big auto shops in the city were taking away her customers. But Ji-won kept working. She kept the garage open because her father would have wanted that. The wind blew rain through the open garage door. Ji-won walked over to pull it down. That was when she saw them. 3 teenage boys on bicycles stopped on the side of the road. They were completely soaked. Water dripped from their clothes and hair. They looked cold and miserable. Ji-won stopped. She watched the boys for a moment. One of them was bent down, looking at his bike. Another was on his phone, shaking his head. The third boy just stood there, shivering in the rain. They were clearly in trouble. She should go home. It was late. The storm was getting worse. She was tired and hungry. But something made her stop. She remembered her father's words. He always said that helping people on the road was important. He said it was a duty, almost sacred. He never turned anyone away. Ji-won stepped out into the rain. The water hit her face immediately. She jogged toward the boys, waving her hand. "Hey, do you need help?" she called out. The 3 boys looked up. They seemed surprised to see her. The tallest one, who looked about 17, nodded quickly. "Yes, please." "Our bikes broke down," he shouted over the sound of the rain. "Come inside." "Get out of the rain." Ji-won pointed back to her garage. The boys did not need to be told twice. They pushed their bikes toward the garage as fast as they could. Ji-won held the door open and they rushed inside. Water pooled on the concrete floor around them. In the light of the garage, Ji-won could see them better. They were just kids, really. High school students, their cycling clothes stuck to their bodies. Their lips looked a bit blue from the cold. They were shaking. "Wait here," Ji-won said. She went to a small room in the back. She came back with 3 old towels. They were not the cleanest towels, but they were dry. "Here, dry off." "Thank you so much," the tallest boy said. He took a towel and passed the others to his friends. "I'm Min-ho. This is Sung-jin and Tae-yang. I'm Ji-won. I run this garage." She looked at their bikes. Even from where she stood, she could see the problems. "What happened?" Min-ho rubbed his hair with the towel. "We were on a cycling trip. We wanted to reach the next town before dark. But then the storm came and everything went wrong." Sung-jin, a thin boy with glasses, pointed to his bike. "My chain broke. I heard it snap about 2 miles back." Tae-yang, the youngest-looking one, spoke quietly. "Mine has a flat tire. I ran over some glass, I think." Min-ho sighed. "And my derailleur is bent. I shifted wrong when I was trying to help Sung-jin and it just got all messed up." Ji-won walked over to look at the bikes more closely. She crouched down next to each one, checking the damage. It was not terrible, but it was not good either. These boys were not going anywhere tonight without repairs. "Can you fix them?" Min-ho asked. His voice was hopeful but worried. Ji-won stood up. "Yes, I can fix them. But it will take some time. We can wait," Tae-yang said quickly. "We have nowhere else to go anyway." "Do your parents know where you are?" Ji-won asked. The boys looked at each other. Sung-jin held up his phone. "We tried to call, but there's no signal here. And my battery is almost dead." "Mine too," Min-ho added. "We were going to charge them at a restaurant in the next town." Ji-won felt sorry for them. They were just kids trying to have an adventure. She knew their parents were probably worried. "Okay, let me get you something warm first. Then I'll fix your bikes." She went to the small break room and made 3 cups of hot tea. The water heater was old and slow, but it worked. She brought the cups out on a tray. The boys took them gratefully, wrapping their cold hands around the warm cups. "Thank you," Min-ho said again. "You're really kind," Ji-won shrugged. "It's okay. I can't let you stay out in the storm." She looked at the time on the wall clock. It was already past 7. She had planned to be home by now. But looking at these 3 cold, wet teenagers, she knew she had to help them. She pulled her hair back into a ponytail and grabbed her toolbox. Drink your tea, get warm. I'll start working on the bikes. Can we pay you? Sungjin asked. We have some money. We'll talk about that later, Jiwon said. Right now, let's just get these bikes fixed so you can get home safely. She started with Sungjin's bike, the one with the broken chain. It was a clean break, which was good. She could fix it with the chain tools she had. As she worked, the boys sat on old stools nearby, sipping their tea and watching her. The rain continued to pound on the garage roof. Thunder rumbled outside, but inside the garage it felt safe and warm. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead. The smell of oil and metal filled the air. Jiwon's hands moved quickly and surely over the bike chain. You're really good at this, Taeyang said, watching her work. I've been doing this since I was young, Jiwon replied. My father taught me. He used to run this garage. Used to? Minho asked gently. Jiwon did not look up from her work. He passed away 2 years ago. Now it's mine. The boys were quiet for a moment. They did not know what to say. Finally, Sungjin spoke. He must have been a good teacher. You know exactly what you're doing. Jiwon smiled a little. He was the best. She finished with the chain and moved to the next bike. Outside, the storm raged on. But inside the small garage, 4 people who had been strangers an hour ago worked together in comfortable silence. Jiwon fixed the bikes. The boys helped by handing her tools and holding flashlights when she needed them. None of them knew it yet, but this rainy evening would change all of their lives in ways they could never imagine. The storm outside showed no signs of stopping. Jiwon worked steadily on the second bike while the 3 boys sat nearby. The workshop felt warmer now. Their clothes were starting to dry. The hot tea had brought color back to their faces. How far from home are you? Jiwon asked as she adjusted the derailleur on Minho's bike. About 30 miles, Minho answered. We started early this morning. We wanted to camp overnight, but we didn't expect this storm. Jiwon nodded. Weather can change fast out here. Do you boys do this often? Long bike trips? Taeyang shook his head. This is our first big trip. We saved money for 3 months to do this. Really? Jiwon looked up surprised. 3 months? Sungjin pushed his glasses up his nose. We're just high school students. We don't have much money. I work part-time at a convenience store after school. Every paycheck I saved a little bit. I saved my lunch money, Taeyang added quietly, and some gift money from my birthday. Minho smiled. We all did what we could. We really wanted to do this trip together. Just the 3 of us riding our bikes, camping under the stars. It was supposed to be our big adventure. Jiwon felt her chest tighten a little. These were good kids. They worked hard for this trip, and now everything had gone wrong. But they were not complaining. They were not angry or rude. They just seemed grateful for the help. Well, you'll still make it an adventure, Jiwon said. Just a different kind than you planned. Do you ride bikes? Taeyang asked. Not much anymore, Jiwon said. I used to ride with my father when I was younger. He loved motorcycles and bicycles. Anything with wheels, really. That's why he opened this garage. He must have been a cool dad, Sungjin said. Jiwon smiled. He was. He taught me everything about fixing things. He said that knowing how to fix something broken was like having a superpower. You could help people when they needed it most. Minho leaned forward. Is that why you stopped to help us? Because of what he taught you? I guess so, Jiwon said. She picked up a wrench and adjusted a bolt. My father never turned anyone away, especially not students or young people. He said they deserved help because they were still learning about the world. The boys were quiet for a moment, thinking about her words. Then Taeyang spoke up, his voice soft. People don't usually help kids like us. Jiwon looked at him. What do you mean? Taeyang looked down at his hands. We're not from rich families. We don't have fancy bikes or expensive gear. Sometimes people look at us and think we don't matter, or that we're troublemakers. That's not fair, Jiwon said. No, it's not, Minho agreed. But it's true sometimes. That's why this trip meant so much to us. We wanted to prove we could do something big, something real. Sungjin added. I get bullied sometimes at school. Kids make fun of me because I work at a convenience store. They say it's a loser job. But I'm proud of it. I make my own money. I help my mom with bills. Your mother should be very proud of you, Jiwon said firmly. Working hard is never something to be ashamed of. That's what I tell him, Minho said. My mom raises me by herself too. My dad left when I was little. She works 2 jobs. I see how tired she is. That's why I study hard. I want to get into a good engineering school. I want to get a good job so she doesn't have to work so hard anymore. Ji-won stopped working and looked at Min-ho. His eyes were serious and determined. He was just a teenager, but he already understood responsibility. He already knew about sacrifice and hard work. "You're going to make it," Ji-won said. "I can tell. You have the right attitude." "I hope so," Min-ho said. "The entrance exams are hard. An engineering school is expensive. But I'll find a way," Tae-yang spoke again. "I used to get bullied a lot. Not just sometimes like Sung-jin. Every day. Kids said I was weird. They said my clothes were old and cheap. They pushed me around and made fun of me." "What changed?" Ji-won asked gently. "I got this bike," Tae-yang said, looking at his bicycle. "It was a used one from a shop. Not expensive, but it was mine. I started riding it everywhere. And then I met Min-ho and Sung-jin. They ride bikes too. They became my friends. They never cared about my clothes or my family not having money. They just liked riding with me. Cycling gave us all something," Min-ho said. "It gave us freedom. It gave us friendship. When we ride, we're all equal. It doesn't matter where we come from or how much money we have." Ji-won felt a lump in her throat. She understood exactly what they meant. When her father died, she felt lost and alone. But working in this garage, fixing things, helping people on the road, it gave her purpose. It kept her connected to him. It made her feel less alone. "I understand," she said quietly. "Sometimes the things we love save us." The boys nodded. They understood too. In that moment, despite their age difference, Ji-won and these three teenagers were connected. They all knew what it meant to struggle. They all knew what it meant to find something that made life better. Ji-won moved to the third bike, the one with the flat tire. As she removed the wheel, she asked more questions. The boys told her about school, about their dreams, about the places they wanted to visit someday. They talked about their families and their worries. Min-ho worried about his mother working too hard. Sung-jin worried about his grades and his future. Tae-yang worried about his father, who drank too much and yelled a lot. But when they talked about riding their bikes together, their voices changed. They sounded happy. They sounded free. Ji-won told them about the garage too. She admitted that business was slow. She told them about the big auto shops in the city taking her customers. She showed them the old equipment that needed replacing. She explained that she was barely making enough money to pay rent and keep the lights on. "Why don't you close it?" Sung-jin asked. "You could get a job somewhere else. Maybe make more money." Ji-won looked around the garage. She saw her father's old tools hanging on the wall. She saw the workbench where he taught her how to fix her first bicycle. She saw his picture in a small frame near the cash register. "I can't," she said simply. "This place is all I have left of him. If I close it, it's like losing him all over again." The boys understood. They did not push her or tell her she was being silly. They just nodded. Sometimes holding on to something was more important than money. Sometimes keeping a memory alive mattered more than being practical. "Besides," Ji-won added, pulling out the damaged inner tube from Tae-yang's tire, "if I close this garage, who would help three boys stranded in the rain?" They all smiled at that. It was true. If Ji-won had given up, if she had closed the garage, the boys would still be out in the storm right now, cold and stuck and scared. Ji-won worked on the flat tire, patching it carefully. The boys helped where they could. They handed her tools. They held parts steady. They learned by watching. And they talked, sharing stories and dreams while the rain continued to fall outside. In that small garage on that stormy night, something special was happening. 4 people who were struggling in different ways had found each other. They did not know it yet, but they were about to change each other's lives forever. It was almost 9 o'clock at night when Ji-won finished fixing the last bike. She stood up and stretched her back. Her knees hurt from crouching for so long. Her hands were black with grease. But all 3 bikes were fixed and ready to ride. "Done," she announced, wiping her hands on a rag. The 3 boys jumped up from their seats. They gathered around their bikes, examining them closely. Min-ho spun his pedals and shifted through the gears. They moved smoothly now, perfectly aligned. Sung-jin checked his chain. It was secure and strong. Tae-yang squeezed his tire. It was firm and full of air. "They're perfect," Min-ho said, his face bright with happiness. "They work better than before." "You're amazing," Tae-yang added, running his hand over his bike frame like it was a precious pet. Ji-won felt tired but satisfied. This was why she loved her job. This feeling of fixing something broken and seeing people happy again. Her father used to say that making things work was like spreading light in the world. She understood what he meant now. The storm has stopped, Sungjin said, looking outside. We should be able to ride home now. It was true. The rain had finally stopped. The thunder was distant now, moving away. The sky was clearing up. Stars were starting to appear between the clouds, but it's dark, Ji-won said with concern. Do you have lights on your bikes? Yes, Minho assured her. We have front lights and reflectors. We'll be careful. Ji-won nodded, but she was still worried. She walked to a storage shelf and pulled down some items. She came back with 3 spare inner tubes and a small patch kit. Take these, she said, handing them to Minho. Just in case. You never know what might happen on a long ride home. We can't take these, Minho protested. You've already done so much. Please, Ji-won insisted. It will make me feel better knowing you have spare supplies. The boys looked at each other. They seemed uncomfortable accepting more help. But they also knew it was smart to have backup supplies. Finally, Minho nodded and took the items. Thank you, he said quietly. Ji-won went back to the storage area. She returned with 3 bottles of water and some energy bars she kept for herself. For the road, she said. You need to stay hydrated and keep your energy up. Ms. Ji-won, Sungjin said, his voice emotional. You're too kind. We need to pay you. Please let us pay you something, Ji-won shook her head firmly. No payment necessary. But you worked for almost 2 hours, Taeyang said. You used your supplies. You gave us tea and food. You have to let us pay. I don't have to do anything, Ji-won said with a small smile. And I'm choosing not to take your money. Minho stepped forward. Please, Ms. Ji-won, we saved money for this trip. We can afford to pay for repairs. It's only fair. You know what's fair? Ji-won said, looking at each of them. Fair is helping people who need help. Fair is doing the right thing because it's right, not because someone pays you. My father taught me that. He never charged students or young people who were in real trouble. He said they needed kindness more than he needed money. The boys were silent. They did not know what to say. Nobody had ever treated them like this before. Most adults wanted something from them. Most people only helped if there was something in it for them. But Ji-won was different. But your business is struggling, Minho said softly. You told us. You need the money. Ji-won's eyes got a little wet, but she blinked quickly. I'll be okay. I always figure it out. But you saved for 3 months for this trip. You worked hard for this adventure. That money is yours. Keep it. Buy a good meal on your way home. Or save it for your next trip. There's one thing we can do then, Minho said. He pulled out his phone. Can I take a picture of your garage? The sign outside? A picture? Ji-won looked confused. Why? So we remember this place, Minho explained. So we remember you and what you did for us. And so we can come back and visit someday. Ji-won felt warmth spread through her chest. Okay, yes, you can take a picture. The boys walked outside with their bikes. Minho held up his phone and took several pictures of the garage front. The old sign that said Parks Garage in faded letters. The worn building with peeling paint. The single garage door and the small office window. He took pictures of everything. Got it, he said, looking at the photos. Perfect. The boys climbed onto their bikes. They put on their helmets and turned on their lights. They were ready to go home. But they did not leave right away. They stood there looking at Ji-won with grateful expressions. We'll never forget this, Sungjin said. Never. When we grow up and have good jobs, Taeyang said, we're going to help people too. Just like you helped us. And like my father helped others, Ji-won added. That's how kindness works. It spreads from person to person like ripples in water. Minho nodded seriously. We promise. We'll pay it forward someday. Good, Ji-won said. That's all the payment I need. Knowing you'll help someone else when you can. The boys said their final thank yous. They waved and started riding down the dark road, their bike lights cutting through the night. Ji-won stood in the garage doorway watching until their lights disappeared in the distance. She hoped they would get home safely. She said a little prayer for their safe journey, then she turned back to the garage. She needed to clean up before going home. The workshop was messier than usual. Tools were scattered everywhere. There were wet towels on the floor, dirty rags piled on the workbench. She had been in such a hurry to help the boys that she had not kept things organized. Ji-won started picking up tools and putting them away. She swept the floor. She hung up the wet towels to dry. She was tired and ready to go home. Her stomach growled. She had not eaten dinner yet. As she cleaned the workbench, she noticed something white. An envelope. It was sitting right where she had been working, underneath a wrench. She picked it up, confused. She had not put an envelope there. She opened it. Inside was money. She pulled it out and counted. 50,001. And there was a note written in careful handwriting on a piece of notebook paper. Please accept this. You deserve it. We know you said no, but we can't take all your help without giving something back. Thank you for saving us tonight. Thank you for being so kind. We will never forget you. The biker's Ji-won's hands shook as she held the note. The boys must have left it while she was not looking. They must have pooled all their trip money together. This was probably every bit of cash they had with them. They were supposed to use this money for food and camping supplies. They probably needed it for the ride home. Tears filled Ji-won's eyes. They finally spilled over and ran down her cheeks. She had tried so hard not to take anything from them, but they had found a way to give anyway. They wanted her to have something. They wanted to show their gratitude. She sat down on her work stool, holding the envelope and the note. She read the note again, and again. Such simple words, but they meant everything. These boys understood. They understood what it meant to be kind. They understood the value of helping others. They were good kids with good hearts. Ji-won decided something in that moment. She would keep the money safe. She would not spend it. When the boys came back to visit, and she believed they would, she would return it to them. She would tell them that their gratitude and their promise to pay it forward was payment enough. She tucked the envelope into her desk drawer in a safe place. Then she finished cleaning up the garage. She turned off the lights and locked the door. As she drove home that night, she felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. Hope that the world still had good people in it. Hope that kindness still mattered. Hope that maybe, just maybe, everything would be okay. She had no idea that in 2 weeks her entire life would change. She had no idea that those 3 boys and that rainy night would lead to something bigger than she could ever imagine. But for now, driving home under the clearing sky, Ji-won just felt grateful. Grateful that she had stopped to help. Grateful that her father had taught her well. Grateful that kindness still existed in the world. 2 weeks passed. Ji-won had almost forgotten about that rainy night. Life went back to normal. Or rather, back to being difficult. Business was still slow. Some days only 1 or 2 customers came. Other days nobody came at all. Ji-won spent those empty days organizing tools and trying to find ways to save money. She thought about the 3 boys sometimes. She wondered if they made it home safely that night. She wondered if they would ever come back like they promised. The envelope with their money sat in her desk drawer. She checked on it every few days, making sure it was still safe. One Tuesday morning, Ji-won was considering something sad. She might need to sell some of her equipment, the big tools she rarely used. Maybe even her father's old motorcycle that sat in the back corner, covered with a tarp. She needed money for rent. The landlord had been patient, but patience only lasted so long. She was looking at the motorcycle, fighting back tears, when she heard a sound outside. A lot of sounds, actually. Engines. Many engines. Motorcycles and something else she could not quite identify. Ji-won walked to the garage door, confused. She pulled it open, and then she froze, unable to believe what she was seeing. The road in front of her garage was filled with motorcycles and bicycles, dozens of them, maybe 50, maybe more. Big motorcycles with chrome that shined in the sun. Racing bikes with thin wheels and bright colors. Mountain bikes with thick tires, all different types. And riders of all ages, from teenagers to elderly people, standing next to their bikes and motorcycles. In front of everyone stood Min-ho, Sung-jin, and Tae-yang. The 3 boys were grinning so wide their faces looked like they might split. When they saw Ji-won, they started waving excitedly. "Ms. Ji-won!" Min-ho shouted. "Surprise!" Ji-won could not speak. She just stood there with her mouth open, staring at the crowd. What was happening? Why were all these people here? Min-ho ran up to her, his 2 friends right behind him. "We did it! We really did it!" "Did what?" Ji-won finally managed to say. "What is all this?" "It's a thank you," Sung-jin said, pushing his glasses up. His eyes were bright with excitement. A thank you from everyone. I don't understand, Ji-won said. Her heart was beating fast. She felt dizzy with confusion. Tae-yang took her hand gently. Let us explain. After that night after you saved us, we couldn't stop thinking about you. About how kind you were. About how you helped us even though your business was struggling. About how you wouldn't take any payment. Min-ho continued the story. So, I posted about it online. On social media. I put up the pictures I took of your garage. I wrote about everything that happened. How you stopped to help 3 strangers. How you fixed our bikes in the rain. How you gave us food and supplies. How you refused money because we were students. I wrote about your father too, Sung-jin added. About how he taught you to help people. About his values and how you keep them alive. The post went viral, Min-ho said, his voice full of excitement. It got shared thousands of times. People in cycling clubs saw it. Motorcycle clubs saw it. Everyone was talking about it. An older man stepped forward from the crowd. He had a gray beard and wore a leather jacket with patches. I'm the president of the Steel Riders Motorcycle Club, he said. When I read that story, it touched my heart. We're a club of veterans and retired folks. We believe in helping others just like you do. When we heard about your situation, we knew we had to do something. A woman in cycling gear came forward too. I'm from the City Cyclists Association. We have over 500 members. That story showed us what real kindness looks like. We wanted to support you. Ji-won felt tears starting to form in her eyes. She still could not fully understand what was happening. Everyone brought something. Tae-yang said softly, Look. Ji-won looked at the crowd more carefully. People were holding things. Some had toolboxes. Others had paint cans. Some held bags of supplies. There were boxes of parts and equipment. There was food and drinks. Some people just held envelopes. We organized a thank you ride, Min-ho explained. Riders from all over the region came. Some drove 2 hours to get here. They all wanted to meet you. They all wanted to help. The older man spoke again. We brought new tools, professional grade, things you need for your garage. We also brought paint to fix up your building, and my brother owns a parts supply company. He's donating a full stock of common replacement parts. The cycling woman added. We crowdfunded online too. Over 2,000 people donated. Some gave small amounts, some gave more. We raised enough to buy you a new digital tool set, the kind the big garages use. A younger man wearing a news camera on his shoulder stepped forward. I'm from the local news station. We heard about this story and we want to cover it. Is that okay? Ji-won could not answer. She was crying now. Tears rolled down her face freely. Her hands covered her mouth. She shook her head in disbelief. There's more, Min-ho said gently. He pulled out a piece of paper. The Steel Riders want to make you an official, trusted mechanic for their club. That's 2,000 members who will come to you for service. They'll tell their friends too. And the Cycling Association wants to promote your business to all our members. The woman added, We'll put your garage on our recommended list. We'll send people here who need repairs. People from the crowd started coming forward. They placed tools and supplies at Ji-won's feet. They handed her envelopes with money. They shook her hand and thanked her for reminding them what kindness meant. Some older people hugged her. Some young people asked for pictures with her. There's people here who want to volunteer, Sung-jin said. Mechanics who want to help renovate your garage. They're going to do it all this weekend. New paint, new signs, organized workspace, everything. You saved 3 boys in the rain, the older man said, his voice gentle. Now a whole community wants to save you. Ji-won collapsed onto her knees. She could not stand anymore. The emotion was too much. She sobbed openly, not caring who saw. Everything she had been holding inside for 2 years came pouring out. All the stress and worry and fear and loneliness. All the nights wondering if she could keep going. All the times she almost gave up. Min-ho, Sung-jin, and Tae-yang knelt down beside her. They put their hands on her shoulders. They cried too. These boys understood struggle. They understood what it meant to be helped when you needed it most. You didn't just fix our bikes that night, Min-ho said through his tears. You showed us what kind of person we want to be. You showed us that kindness matters, that helping others matters. And now we're showing you that kindness comes back. It always comes back. The crowd was quiet now. Everyone watching this moment. Some of them were crying too. It was beautiful and pure and real. It was humanity at its best. A woman from the crowd stepped forward. She had kind eyes and gray hair. "Your father would be so proud of you," she said to Jiwon. "He taught you well, and now look what you've created. Look at all these people who came together because of your kindness." Jiwon looked up at the crowd through her tears. She saw faces of all ages and backgrounds, bikers and cyclists, young and old, rich and poor. All of them here because 3 teenage boys told a story about a mechanic who stopped to help in the rain. "Thank you," Jiwon whispered, then louder. "Thank you. Thank you all so much." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. The sound echoed down the highway. Minho helped Jiwon stand up. She was shaky but smiling now, a huge, genuine smile that hurt her cheeks. "So," the older man said with a grin, "should we get started? We've got a garage to transform." Jiwon could only nod. She was too overwhelmed to speak anymore, but her heart was so full it felt like it might burst. This was really happening. All of this was real. The 3 boys stood beside her as the crowd began to organize. People started unloading supplies from trucks. Mechanics pulled out paint and brushes. Someone started setting up ladders. The news camera was recording everything. And in the middle of it all stood Jiwon, the young mechanic who almost gave up, now surrounded by an army of people ready to help her succeed. All because she chose kindness on a rainy night. All because she remembered her father's lessons. All because she stopped to help 3 boys who needed it. That weekend changed everything. The garage transformed before Jiwon's eyes. It felt like a dream she might wake up from any moment. On Saturday morning, 30 volunteers showed up at 8 o'clock. They came with supplies, energy, and big smiles. The steel riders brought their best mechanics. The cycling association sent people who were good at organization and design. Local business owners showed up to help too. First, they cleaned everything. Every corner, every shelf, every tool. They threw away broken equipment and junk that had piled up over the years. They swept and scrubbed until the concrete floor looked almost new again. Then came the painting. The outside walls got fresh white paint. The trim became a clean blue color. Someone painted the old sign professionally, making the letters clear and bright. Park's garage looked proud again, like it did when Jiwon's father first opened it. Inside, they painted the walls a light gray that made the space look bigger and cleaner. They organized all the tools on new pegboards, each tool in its proper place. They built new shelves for parts and supplies. They even created a small, comfortable waiting area with chairs and a coffee maker. Minho, Sungjin, and Taeyang worked alongside everyone. They painted walls, carried supplies, and cleaned floors. They stayed all day Saturday and came back Sunday morning. Their parents came too, wanting to meet Jiwon and thank her for helping their sons. "You probably saved their lives that night," Minho's mother said, hugging Jiwon tightly. "If you hadn't helped them, I don't know what would have happened in that storm." The local motorcycle club installed something special outside. A big sign that said Steel Riders Official Trusted Mechanic. It was metal with their club logo, professional and impressive. Next to it, the Cycling Association put up their certification too. But the most amazing gift was the equipment. A local business owner donated a modern bike repair station with all the latest tools. Another person brought a professional diagnostic computer for motorcycles. Someone else delivered an air compressor and pneumatic tools. Things Jiwon could never have afforded on her own. The news crew came back both days, filming everything. They interviewed Jiwon, the 3 boys, and many of the volunteers. The story aired on Tuesday evening news. By Wednesday, even more people knew about Park's garage. By the end of the weekend, the transformation was complete. Jiwon stood in her garage on Sunday evening after everyone had left. She could not believe it was the same place. It looked professional. It looked successful. It looked like a garage that would thrive. She walked to her father's picture still hanging in its place. She had cleaned the frame and put it in a new spot, a small memorial corner with his favorite old tools displayed nearby. "Look, Dad," she whispered, touching the picture gently. "Look what happened. You were right. Kindness does matter. It really does come back." 3 months passed. Ji-won's life was completely different now. Every day, customers came to the garage. Motorcyclists from the Steel Riders came regularly. Cyclists from the association stopped by for tune-ups and repairs. Word spread through the community. People drove from other towns specifically to come to Park's garage. Ji-won had to hire help. She could not handle all the work alone anymore. Her first hire was Sung-jin. He worked every Saturday learning mechanics while earning money for college. A retired mechanic from the Steel Riders volunteered 3 days a week, teaching Ji-won advanced techniques. She hired another young person part-time for weekday afternoons. The money situation changed completely. Ji-won could pay rent easily now. She could afford to eat well. She even started saving money, something she never thought possible before. But the best part was not the money. The best part was the community. The garage became a gathering place. Riders stopped by just to talk, even when they did not need repairs. People brought coffee and pastries in the morning. The waiting area was always full of friendly conversations. Ji-won made friends with customers. She learned their names and their stories. She became part of something bigger than herself. She also started something new. Every Saturday afternoon, she offered free classes. She taught basic mechanics to anyone who wanted to learn. Many young people came, especially girls who wanted to learn about bikes and motorcycles. Ji-won showed them how to change tires, adjust brakes, fix chains, and do simple maintenance. "My father taught me," she told each class. "Now I'm teaching you. And someday you'll teach someone else." That's how knowledge spreads. That's how we help each other. Min-ho came to every class when he was not studying. He was preparing for his engineering school entrance exams. He told Ji-won she inspired him to work even harder. Tae-yang came too, bringing other kids from school who used to bully him. But now they respected him. They saw him as someone connected to the viral story, the boy whose kindness started a movement. Ji-won also created something special. A pay-it-forward board on the garage wall. Customers could prepay for future repairs, and that credit would go to help someone in need. A struggling student, a person who lost their job, anyone who needed help but could not afford it. The board filled up fast. People loved the idea. Some customers added $50. Others added more. Within a month, there was over $2,000 on the board. Ji-won used it to help 8 people that first month. Each time, she explained that someone else had paid for their repair as a kindness. She asked them to pay it forward when they could. One Saturday afternoon, 6 months after that rainy night, Ji-won heard familiar voices outside. She looked up from the bike she was working on. Min-ho, Sung-jin, and Tae-yang were walking in, but they were not alone. They brought a group of about 20 teenagers, all with bicycles. "Ms. Ji-won," Min-ho called out. "We brought the school cycling club. Everyone wanted to meet you." The teenagers crowded into the garage, looking around with impressed expressions. They asked questions about the equipment, the certifications on the wall, and the story they had heard. Ji-won smiled and answered patiently. Then she looked at her 3 special friends. "You boys want to help me teach a class today?" Their faces lit up. "Really? We can help teach?" Tae-yang asked. "Of course," Ji-won said. "You've learned a lot. And besides, you 3 started all of this. You should be part of sharing it forward." So that afternoon, Ji-won taught alongside Min-ho, Sung-jin, and Tae-yang. They showed the new students how to fix flats, adjust gears, and maintain chains. The boys were good teachers, patient and encouraging, just like Ji-won had been with them. After the class, after everyone else left, the 3 boys stayed behind. They helped Ji-won clean up and organize tools. They did this often now. It had become their routine. "Miss Ji-won," Min-ho said as they worked, "I got my acceptance letter yesterday." Ji-won spun around. "The engineering school?" Min-ho nodded, grinning. "I got in. Full scholarship." Ji-won screamed with joy and hugged him. Sung-jin and Tae-yang cheered and clapped. This was wonderful news. All of Min-ho's hard work had paid off. "Your mother must be so proud," Ji-won said. "She cried for an hour." Min-ho laughed. Happy tears. "She said she knew I could do it." "We always knew too," Ji-won said. "You're going to be an amazing engineer." As they finished cleaning, Sung-jin spoke up. "Do you remember what you told us that first night? About kindness spreading like ripples in water?" "I remember," Ji-won said. "Look at what happened," Sung-jin said, gesturing around the garage. "You helped us. We told people. Those people helped you. Now you're helping more people through classes and the Pay It Forward board. Those people will help others. The ripples just keep spreading. Ji-won felt tears in her eyes again. But these were happy tears. Grateful tears. My father would have loved seeing this. He always believed in the power of kindness. But even he never imagined something this big. Tae-young pulled something from his backpack. It was a framed picture. The picture showed the four of them, taken on that transformation weekend. They were all covered in paint, grinning, surrounded by volunteers. The news station had taken it. "We wanted you to have this," Tae-young said, handing it to her. "So you remember the day everything changed." Ji-won took the picture, holding it carefully. She walked to her father's memorial corner and placed it right next to his photo, past and present together. The father who taught her kindness and the boys who showed her what that kindness could create. "Perfect," she whispered. That evening, after the boys went home, Ji-won sat in her garage office. She looked at the schedule for the next week. It was full. Every day had appointments. The phone rang regularly with new customers. The Pay It Forward board had credits for helping more people. Her classes were growing in attendance. She thought about that rainy night 6 months ago. She had been so close to giving up, so close to selling everything and closing the garage forever. She had felt alone and defeated, but she made one choice. She chose to stop and help 3 boys in the rain. She chose kindness over convenience. She chose to honor her father's values even when it was hard. Ji-won stood up and turned off the office light. She walked through the garage one more time before leaving, like she did every night. She touched her father's picture gently. "Thank you, Dad," she said softly. "Thank you for teaching me."